Alright, so we've got pentalobe, tri, and Phillips. And I've got trusty old spudger, and of course, a pair of tweezers. iPhone 7, I'm going to start probably at the bottom here by taking out the two pentalobe screws. Going to heat up the sides. But be careful, this side has the ribbon cable. Along the bottom, it's got thickened adhesive at the bottom, so just spend a little bit longer on there. And then back up the sides here. A lot of different repair technicians, they like to start at different points. I myself like to start just about here, just in from the right hand side. A lot of glass pinging off this already. As you can see, we've got a complete smash of not just digitizer but LCD as well. If you can see that colour coming up. So I'm putting just the very edge, the corner of my spudger, what fanciful name it's got, into the phone. Going round the edges, especially on this side, but the SIM side, we don't go in that deep because we've got ribbon cables there. There's a lot of glass coming off. So it's held by a clip just in the top here. I'll show you those in a second. So what I do is I apply pressure to the bottom corner, angling it out just ever so slightly to get this corner out. Once that's done, I can then open it like a book and we're in. Right. Just going to clean that glass off for a second. Right, so I'm going to switch from pentalobe to the tri. I'm going to take off the plates here and here. And just to let those of you know at home, I am a fully operating shop working by myself, so I might need to go and deal with customers from time to time. But if you've got any questions, just go ahead and ask, and I shall get onto them as soon as I can. Back in a sec. Right, back to it. So we take in the 4 screws out. Start off with this plate first. Maybe a pair of tweezers. I'll just use my fingernails there. And then if you look from here, we have the battery flex going up around the corner. So I'm just going to pull that battery out. It's always good to disconnect the battery before carrying on it any jobs. And then I'm going to switch to over here and take off the next plate. That's Phillips. Disconnect the flexes. We now have an open iPhone 7. Just get rid of the glass in there. So we put the other part away for just now and continue with it later, and we're going to move on to taking the parts off that we need to transfer onto the other screen. So I like to start off at the top, which is where your speaker and front camera usually sit, and then work my way down. Always putting the plate just above the screws so that I don't get them lost. Right, so that's it probably for the Phillips. So switching back to the try, they've got 1, 2, 3 screws going down the outside and then another 3 on the opposite side. That's the ones that hold in the back plate. And this shouldn't be too difficult to take out. That one doesn't want to come away. So always one. That's 3 for the one side, moving on to the opposite. These 6 particular screws, they're exactly the same, so when they go back in to hold the frame in place, it doesn't matter in which order they go in. Now we've got 4 at the bottom here, holding the home button in place. There we go, give you a full picture of everything I'm up to. Let's get rid of that glass. So what I like to do here is add a bit of heat, just to loosen the adhesive. So I've got adhesive strip right here, and then obviously under the home button, and then a small amount of adhesive at the top holding the speaker and the front camera and light sensor in place. I'm using tweezers ever so gently. That. So here is where the home button is held in place, and then if I go in at the edge here, I just separate them ever so slightly, you can see it comes up. So just having a little test, a little feel of how well that adhesive is holding. It's holding pretty good actually for a change. So heat that up a little bit more, not too much, because otherwise you'll damage the sensors there. Should have a little bit more give, there we go. And then just pop it through. With this one, you can move the spudger up under this cable here, between the metal sheathing. And then just tease it off, and the whole thing should come apart. Now for the fun bit, go in at an angle, just teasing it up ever so gently. If there's no give, move on to the next part. The gold contacts here are quite important for the loudspeaker. What gives you the noise in your ear. And you can see I'm going to have to heat that up a little bit more. I'm going to heat it from the opposite side this time. And use my tweezers to try and pry it out just a little bit, without causing any damage. There we are. So that screen is now done and can go in the bin. Right. That's another customer. Just give me 2 minutes and I'll be back. Okay, one iPhone 7 screen. What I'm going to do is we're just going to take these tabs off. That one does not want to come. There we are. So first thing that we do is put the back plate back in place. It just helps hold everything in place. So that's these 6 screws here. And like I said, for these 6, it doesn't matter which order you put them back in. There we are. So back plate is now in place. Now this bit's fiddly. So what I like to do is try and line the gold contacts up first. They've got 2 little pegs that they sit over there. As soon as they're sort of in place, everything else just tends to magically fall into place. Now the bit you're going to watch out for is this part here. It's going to be clicked in to these 2 holes properly, otherwise your light sensor will fail. And then every time you hold the phone up to your face, it won't go dark and you'll be pushing buttons and calling people the side of your face whilst in another call. There we go. So as I was saying, get this bit of the gold contacts there. So those 4 meet with those 4. Holding it down in place. small screw top left. I hope I'm doing alright. And I'll zoom in. Right, so we've got the home button, and that has to pushed up from the bottom. So I'm just going to take some of that away and pop it up. Try to keep it just straight and in line. Fold that up so that it sits over. And there's a little peg. Don't know if you can see it. It should be right about here. The peg that it sits on. And then once it's sat there, you should be able to fold over and click it in place. There we go. That's it, clicked in place. Now for the easy bit, square end over the clip point. I'm pretty sure this is Troy screws. Just popping those in. Bear in mind not to do it too tight. We're just looking for about finger strength there. You do it too tight and you'll end up knackering the screws and never being able to take that part out again. Or especially on this one, damaging the actual home button. Too much pressure will be applied to the sensor and then it won't work and you won't have a home button free phone. There we are. So that is the screen done. Now we can bring back the phone, tidy up around the edges. Gonna zoom out. There we go, that should do it. So starting off with the top end of the phone. This one bends back the way and plugs into this point here. So we're just going to pop that one in first. That'll allow us with the down movement. It's plugged in. Now put the plate in place. Phillips as well. close it over and turn it round. Another one and one short one. And then I can feel comfortable enough about popping the ball screws back. But I shall know for next time, rather than having it over the Wi-Fi, I'll just wire it in. Also give myself a bit more hand space. Almost done. Right, so now we can close it over, and if you can see, we have this clip here, this clip here, and this clip here. They go in first. Once they're in, everything else should just click down and back into place. There we are. Now for the finishing touch, the last two screws. Right, now they'll be able to get into the phone in about 15 minutes because the phone will have stopped pressing all the buttons by itself. That's gone from